Why is it that Kawaki, ever since the start of the time skip, has been so underwhelming? Especially when you compare Kawaki to before the time skip, he had so much aura.
Kawaki is a certified bum in Boruto. Ever since this Boruto time skip started, Kawaki has taken L after L after L, and it is not getting any better for him with these latest chapters.
If we go over Kawaki's feats in the time skip at face value, it is just mediocre. Kawaki starts off the time skip by getting stomped while off guard by a claw grime. We ended up giving Kawaki a pass, we just let that one go. But then he ended up getting 2-tapped by Jura. And this was clearly a Jura not even trying. He simply told Kawaki to go sit down while he goes to find Himawari, the person who actually interests him. Because he didn't want to kill Kawaki. No, Kawaki was supposed to be the sacrifice for the divine tree. And it doesn't end there. He then goes on to get embarrassed by Boruto, where in this case, he gets 1 tap, and then Boruto asks him if he has even trained. Obviously not, Kawaki doesn't train. But now we have reached my final straw, because after begging Amato for help, he yet again gets stomped by one of the Mushi clones. He was one of the biggest liabilities in this current arc due to him running out of gas. The only real W we can say that he has taken this far in the time skip has been sneaking Hidari. So why does Kawaki feel so different than his pre-time skip self? Because back in the days, let's just be honest, Boruto fans were scared. They were crying because Kawaki simply had so much aura that at times it almost overshadowed Boruto. What is the difference now? Has Ikemoto failed Kawaki and ruined his character? Or maybe has he forgotten how to actually write Kawaki? No. Obviously that is not the case. It is actually quite the opposite. Ikemoto is actually making Kawaki better. I know I slandered Kawaki at the beginning of this video, and some of you guys probably loved it. I know a lot of people love to hate on Kawaki, and others probably hated me for it. But Kawaki's writing right now is actually good. Dare I say perfect. Because all of this is very intentional from Ikemoto. Because for Ikemoto, Kawaki's real shift begins now. So invest in Kawaki stocks while it is still low.
After the time skip, the story starts off with Boruto having a broader understanding of the world. A testament to how much he's grown, which also gives him a heavier burden to bear compared to Kawaki. In this case, the character whose growth we get to see will be Kawaki, not Boruto.
What is so different between Kawaki and Boruto? What Ikemoto is saying here is that the first section of Boruto to Blue Vortex focused on the changes Boruto went through and how he developed. We see a Boruto who is far more stoic compared to his past self. Someone who has grown into the position of the Shadow Hokage. He doesn't care whether people hate him or not. The only thing that matters is saving the world. We don't get to see a slow shift from the Boruto we knew back then to the Boruto that we know now. No, we had a quick change, a time skip, where we saw this new version of Boruto and had to slowly adapt. And Ikemoto used flashback to reveal certain moments that changed Boruto to the guy that we know right now, just showing the brilliance of Ikemoto's writing regarding Boruto. But for Kawaki, it's going to be different. It's not going to be a singular shift from one chapter to the next, or a singular shift using a time skip. No, Ikemoto will show us the slow development Kawaki undergoes, till he regains the aura that a lot of people believe that he is missing. The person's whose growth we're going to see in the time skip is Kawaki, because early time skip Kawaki and part 1 Kawaki are still the same Kawaki. Nothing actually changed in their writing. Ikemoto is just showing us the path that Kawaki was going to end up in based off the actions that he took before the time skip. And he is contrasting that with Boruto. They took 2 completely different paths. So it is not that Ikemoto favors one over the other. This was simply the result of each of their actions and their philosophy, and I'll be breaking it down right now. Boruto ends up taking the more nuanced path of a shinobi who keeps the traditions of the ninja way, training like he did with Sasuke, mastering the sword, refining his technique. He preserves the grit and the will to never give up that we have seen in Naruto. But at the same time, Boruto is not stuck in the past. He also accepts methods that speed up his training, whether through technology or divine abilities. His training with Kashinkoji is a clear example of that. He uses his prescience ability not to skip training, but to work smarter and achieve results a lot faster. On top of that, Boruto shows growth by allowing people like Sumire to help him out, using science and technologies to help him improve, showing how much he has grown from the AO arc where he hated technology to him coming to understand that it depends on how you use that specific technology. Kawaki, on the other hand, he stayed the same. He doesn't adapt, and that's why he is getting punished in the early stage of the manga. But that punishment is what is going to push Kawaki to evolve further.
If we could beat him by sitting around, there wouldn't be a problem.
Look, this training is very important. It's all so we can defeat Code.
What's the point of quietly sitting in place? It's not enough, even with all the time in the world.
Then Kawaki, tell me, what do you suggest?
The real reason Kawaki doesn't train or believe in the shinobi method is because he completely disagrees with the philosophy of a shinobi. He believes it is too slow. Shinobi grow gradually. It takes time. This is the reason why we saw that Boruto ended up needing this prescience ability to become as strong as he is right now, and still it is not enough. So there is a level of truth to what Kawaki is saying. But the reason why there is a level of truth to that is because Kawaki recognizes the false assumption that the shinobi method is built on. And that assumption is that life is going to give you enough time to grow before it throws out something deadly to you. Because from Kawaki's experience, that simply has not been the case. Nobody gave him time to prepare for the fact that his father was going to sell him. The same way that nobody gave him time to prepare for the fact that he was going to receive the karma. That simply did not happen for Kawaki, and that is the basis for his philosophy. So how does Kawaki believe one should grow stronger? His ideology matches perfectly with Jigen, and that's how he regains his karma. And it can be outlined in 3 simple steps. The first step is one of survival. Kawaki's training wasn't about improving. When Kawaki was training with Jigen, all Kawaki was simply doing was trying to survive. Kawaki believes that you simply get stronger by being put in life or death situations where the only option that you have is to survive. That's why he believes in these life or death matches that he wanted to have with Mitsuki when they were discussing how they were going to train for Code. Because that's his experience that he has had with Jigen. Jigen wasn't teaching Kawaki anything. All he was doing to Kawaki was beating Kawaki until Kawaki was able to manifest the karma. Step 2. Desire. And this is most likely what allowed Kawaki to manifest the karma. Kawaki literally says, "I wanted the strength to kill him." His desires are consistent, a singular obsessive goal. In the moments where he was training with Jigen, he wanted to kill Jigen because of the pain that Jigen was causing him. Thus, Kawaki, using that desire, was able to manifest the karma and continue this training, allowing Kawaki to survive. In that instance, Kawaki got stronger because of this obsessive goal. With Naruto and how he was able to regain the karma, his obsessive goal was to protect Naruto and prevent Naruto from being able to die. This obsession turns into him eliminating every single threat to Naruto's life, even if it means killing his own brother. Step 3. Efficiency. It might be traditional, but it is ineffective. This is exactly what Kawaki says concerning the shinobi method. Because to Kawaki, upgrades will always be better than training. That's why Amado modifying his body after all of the brutal training that he had with Jigen, Amado was continuously modifying his body to the point where Katasuke looked at Kawaki's body and deemed that he was barely human. Those upgrades were so important to Kawaki's philosophy as it ended up teaching him how a simple upgrade would instantly boost his strength and end up making him stronger. And that's why we see him constantly beg Amado for more power, because it is more efficient than simply training. And to be fair, I'm not even going to hate on Kawaki for this, because Kawaki isn't completely wrong. Training like a shinobi is slower compared to instant upgrades and power-ups. But those upgrades and power-ups come with a cost. Kawaki's strength is built on hatred, pain, and isolation. The hatred is what pushes other people away, but it is also what allows Kawaki to get stronger. The pain comes from the constant life or death battles that he has to endure with this philosophy of training. And that hatred that he accumulates by having this singular obsessive goal and the desire to kill all those who threatened his goals is what often leads to Kawaki being isolated and having little to no one around him. This is the dark aura that Mitsuki talks about, the one that made him question Kawaki. Kawaki was no longer shining like Boruto did. He was casting a shadow, and that shadow was built upon the hate that he was accumulating, the hate that he deemed to make him stronger. That's why Kawaki, sometimes we just randomly see him snap, because he is building up such a strong hatred, believing that this hatred is what is going to allow him to grow stronger. And the big distinction that we have to have with Kawaki's philosophy is that yes, indeed, Kawaki is right. Kawaki's method of gaining power is far more efficient. However, it is not resilient, because resiliency and efficiency are two different things. Kawaki's method is definitely efficient, but it is simply not sustainable. And that's why we are seeing him gas out. That's why his defense and regeneration is getting worse. That's why he has been getting embarrassed in the time skip, because his philosophy is catching up to him. The short-term benefits of his philosophy is the efficiency that it grants Kawaki. However, that efficiency comes with a cost that doesn't stand the test of time, and that cost is resiliency, and that explains the Kawaki that we see in the time skip. But this could have been completely different, because if Kawaki hadn't sealed Naruto away, he would have taken a completely different path. Naruto would have guided him, helped him grow in the right way. Kawaki would have been far stronger than he was earlier on in the time skip. And this is exactly what Boruto tells us and Kawaki, that if you remove Naruto, Naruto would have been the person to teach him and he would have grown quite strong. But this is just another example of Kawaki's obsession and hatred that leads to him being isolated, to the point where in this case, he is isolated from the person that he loves the most. And now the person that he loves the most is locked up in a timeless dimension and can't help Kawaki. So what happens next for Kawaki? How exactly is Ikemoto planning to show us how Kawaki will develop? The thing is that the cost of Kawaki's power, and what we're going to be seeing next, is that the stronger Kawaki gets, the more he loses his humanity. Meaning that the cost to his power is going to be his own humanity. And this makes quite a bit of sense. Kawaki is already this far gone. The only direction that Kawaki can go is deeper. And Kawaki knows it himself. That's why he doesn't care if he becomes a monster. He just wants something to make him even stronger, no matter the cost. He doesn't care about the method, where it be science, power, or anything else, as long as it makes him strong enough to eliminate any threat to Naruto, that obsessive goal that he has. Kawaki doesn't care. So Kawaki hasn't changed at all. Ikemoto didn't ruin his character, he is simply evolving Kawaki. All the L's that Kawaki has taken so far in the time skip have all been intentional. They are forcing Kawaki to go deeper and deeper into his philosophy, meaning that his development starts now. From the moment that he told that quote to Amato, where he says he doesn't care whether he becomes a monster, that was the biggest clue of the path that Kawaki is going to take. So Kawaki will definitely get stronger, but the stronger and stronger he gets, the cost will be his humanity. Let me know if you enjoyed this video in the comment section below, and if you want to know the final step that Boruto has to take to continue evolving in this series, you have to watch this video right here.